believe that when I start, not just when I started the company, but most of my career, going back from the Broadway days to the sports radio days to the filmmaking days earlier, I I think I always thought I think it was ego driven and I wanted it to be about me. I did. I wanted credit for things and it was important that I don't know what the hell fire I was putting out, but it was too much about me and not enough about the client. Because if you're doing a narrative work, the client is the audience. If you're doing nuanced things like what I do with my audience is the family and future generations. And I think as a business person, I wanted credit rather than excellence.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Winner Circle Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Adewole, and today we have something special for you. In this episode, I'm stepping back to make way for incredible minds who will take the reins as hosts for this conversation. Joining us today is remarkable Sheneya Wilson, CPA, and the CEO of Fola Financial. As you know, Sheneya is a visionary in her field, and I can't wait for you all to hear her insight and expertise. So I'm going to sit back, and I want you all to sit back and enjoy as our guest host for today. Sheneya dives into the topics that matters most to us. So let's get started. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome to the Winner Circle Podcast. In today's episode, we're diving into the fascinating world of storytelling and legacy preservation with an extraordinary guest, Chance McClain. Meet Chance. He is a creative powerhouse and the visionary founder of Heritage Films, a production company dedicated to documenting the rich tapestry of family histories through the art of film. With over 800 feature-length documentaries to his name, Chance brings families' stories to life in ways that inspire and connect generations. His journey spans a diverse background in filmmaking, radio, theater, showcasing his unparalleled passion for storytelling. A proud Army veteran, thank you very much,
Heck yeah.
Chance has worn many hats, directing a Steamy-nominated film, producing an off-Broadway musical, and even running a sports radio station. His versatility and dedication shines through in every project he undertakes. In this episode, we're going to dive into the entrepreneurial journey behind launching Heritage Films, discussing not only the challenges and triumphs of starting a business in the competitive world of production, but also the profound importance of documenting family stories. Chance will share insights into how storytelling can have a lasting impact on future generations, fostering connections that transcend time. So prepare to be inspired as we chat with Chance McClain about the art of preserving legacies and the transformative power of storytelling. Let's go ahead and dive in.
How
So,
about that?
yes,
I love how you say heritage. Heritage. It was beautiful.
heritage.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. So, Chance, if we're just going to start with just getting to know you a little bit more, and if you can just share your journey in filmmaking and what led you to founding Heritage Films.
Yeah, sure. So, gosh, I was working in sports radio. I was running sports radio stations in Houston in kind of the mid 2000s, whenever radio and video and podcasts and vlogs and blogging, all these things were becoming kind of one thing. And so even though it was a radio station, I wanted my guys to be doing video and to be doing writing. So I myself got into video pretty heavily. And then before you know it, it's 2010, 2011, and I had left radio altogether and had a video production company where I was making TV commercials, internet videos, pretty much anything somebody would give me money for, we would film it and make it for them. And then about 11 years ago, a buddy of mine asked me to film his dad. He just said, "Hey, my dad is turning 75. Can you set a camera up and chat with him about his life so that my kids," he has two sons, adoptive sons that were younger, and he was worried that they would never get to know their grandfather. And so he wanted me to just visit with his dad. And so I did. And that ultimately turned into the first Heritage film. That's what sparked the idea. I did a few more videos similar to that over the course of about a year. Then a year later, my stepdad got some really bad health news. And so we asked if we could film his story before, it was pancreatic cancer. So it was really bad news. And, but he said yes. And we filmed his and he sadly passed away within about a week of when we did the film. And it was only after that my wife and I realized that it wasn't just a project, but these are actually very, very important. So we launched the company and wow, it turns out a lot of people love their mom and dad. And so
Yes.
we've been doing a lot of these.
That's so beautiful. So you have over 800 documentaries under your belt. Well, what would you say are the common themes or stories that you find resonate the most with the audience?
Yeah, so it's interesting that we have a couple tiers that we operate at. So we have think of it as just a traditional film, a regular guy down the road whose kid loves him and hires us to come in, or he has us tell his story. And then we have what we call signature films, which are really rich people that want to hire us and not just talk to dad, but talk to 10 other people too. So we really get a wide range of kind of a slice of Americans. And through all of those, I think that the common thing that I've seen is that despite what you see on the news, there are so many families out there that are happy, that love their family, that love each other, that have very solid values, that care about the past and care about the future. They're everywhere. You just got to start talking to them. You just got to sit at a bar and ask somebody with hair that's the color of mine, ask them about their background. And next thing you know, you find out that there's really, really interesting stories and lots of love and caring out there.
So much. What impact do you personally believe that this way of storytelling and preserving legacy will have on the future generations to come?
Oh my goodness. From doing films when I first started, great question, by the way. When I started doing these, I really thought that families wanted the stories. They wanted the stories and the anecdotes from mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or whoever. They wanted the stories themselves. But after doing enough films, I started realizing that what they really wanted was the values of the generation before us. Like we all screw up. We screw up with our kids. We make all these mistakes and we wish, man, my folks or my grandparents, they had their crap together. Maybe if I make a movie of them telling their stuff that my kids will pick something up. And so it's it's the stuff you find in kind of the first half of the Bible that comes up the most about taking care of your neighbors and loving your parents and things like that they want passed down. And that happens through these little anecdotal stories that they share. You see their behaviors, the decisions that they made. They want to hear the stories, but I really think what they want is the values that went behind the creation of those stories.
Thank you so much. I love that. So, from your experience, would you say that there is, do you have a chance formula? Like, how do you go about the technical aspects of filmmaking that you believe is essential for creating compelling documentaries?
Yeah. So all of on the technical side, we use really great equipment, without boring anybody with the actual tech, but we use fantastic cameras, lights, microphones, all that stuff. It's the same quality as what you would see on Netflix or HBO documentary. So it's very elevated equipment. And then we adhere to kind of standards as far as what it looks like on the screen that were established kind of in the golden era of cinema way back when. A person's head is supposed to be so big on the screen, and you're supposed to allow this much time going before you cut to some B-roll or some additional footage or pictures. So we use tried and true things that people are accustomed to seeing so that what we create looks like it is a professional doc because we're matching exactly what, the big Hollywood companies do. Where we step away from the Hollywood method, though, is it's not like we send it's not a Q&A. It's not 60 minutes. We don't send the questions ahead of time and then sit down and have mom recite her responses. Instead, we have them fill out some forms so that I'm going to know a little bit about the person, the birthday and birthplace and what their parents did for a living, places they've lived, schools they went to, pets, recipe, like 20 questions, just basic stuff. So I get a core idea of who these folks are. And then we sit down and have an authentic conversation and loosely chronologically. So whenever I start talking to your dad, I don't start with him being a little boy. He has parents. They have parents. I start with him. How far back do you know about your family? Like, where are they from? And he's like, well, my grandpa was born in so-and-so. And then they start telling a story about their grandparents and parents and how his parents met. And the next thing you know, a baby is born and then there's a child and then there's school years. And then they start having memories. But by that time, dude, they have forgotten that there's even cameras there and we're just BSing. We're just chit-chatting. I'm kind of following my notes, but we're going along and having a blast. And Some of my crew will be in a different room scanning in the family pictures and filming crap around their house so that we can help tell their story. But as far as the form that we follow, it's loosely chronological, or aspirationally, it's chronological, but invariably, somebody may be talking about their grandfather and being like, my papa was awesome. He go, you know what? My grandson is just like this. Well, we just jumped 150 years. So it's not exactly chronological, but then we always try to get the train back on the tracks and going from grandpa to father to self to, yeah, there you go. I hope that answered it.
It greatly answered it. It's like, okay, rather than just filming something, we're giving it more depth by adding in the generations that also contributed to the generation that we're currently filming. So I love that you thoroughly explained that. So I also would say, how would you approach any like sensitive topics? I'm
Oh, wow.
sure, when it comes down to storytelling. And so how do you go about approaching sensitive topics that may arise when you're documenting someone's personal history?
Sure. Well, I mentioned the form. So one of the ways that we do it is literally on the form. There's a thing that says any landmines. It says anything. We do a lot of Vietnam era guys, so sometimes it's literally landmines. But anything that you want me to steer clear of. So if they write it down, then I'm going to honor them. Usually, what I'll do in the interview is when we get up to that point in their life, I'll be like, okay, and then I'm going to absolutely honor your request. You said you didn't want to talk about once you got deployed to Vietnam, but you get back to America and you got this girl waiting for you. So we just kind of gloss right over it. And almost invariably, they will say, well, let me tell you why I didn't want to talk about that. And then they will proceed to share these harrowing, incredible stories of, the terrible things that happen at war.
Wow.
And there's other things. There's ex-spouses comes up a lot. They're like, I ain't talking about him. Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna respect that. Sometimes it's an ex-spouse, but they had children together. And so how the hell do you talk about a 15-year period of their life when they were married and they've got 3 kids from it? And I usually guide them into saying, well, okay, so we had a marriage that didn't work out exactly the way you wanted to, but you got 3 great kids out of it. So there's ways we direct. And then if we just establish some comfort and they know that my whole team, our goal is to share their story for people that love them, for their kids, their grandkids, their future progeny that haven't even been born yet. They'll usually open up the kimono. They want to share.
So it's like you have to like, let's lighten the mood and set the tone, and it just ends up coming out in some type of way, shape, or form. I love that so much. So of course, this podcast has a lot of listeners who are entrepreneurs and who want to build great, successful companies as you've done. So let's talk about some of the difficult things. Can you describe, just as in your journey, has there been any specific moments where you found challenging, whether it was working with the client or just something that's general to building your business? And how did you actually overcome that obstacle?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, the whole thing, all 11 years. And it's the best. It's the challenges are the best. You know what I mean? They suck when you're living in it, but once you get through those challenges the only way to learn is through pain. And so you go through that pain and now you're not going to do that again because it hurt like hell. But as far as specifics, I work in the arts, and it's a bunch of flaky, artsy fartsy people like myself who don't have really traditionally good business sense. We're not known for being on time. There's a lot of things.
Hey, winners, as we continue our journey together today, I want to share something truly special with you. Over the years, I've had the privilege of coaching countless business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, guiding them to achieve breakthrough results and unlocking their full potential. So I'm opening up just 4 slots for my monthly business coaching program. That's right, 4 slots. After being fully booked for the past 3 years, if you're ready to elevate your business with personalized guidance, proven strategy, and a supportive community, I'm here to help you navigate challenges, refine your vision, and achieve your goals. So if you're committed to taking your business to the next level, I want to hear from you. Reach out to me directly at Jay at WinnersCirclePodcast and discuss how we can work together to build the future your business deserves. So don't wait. This is your moment. Join Winner Circle and let's embark on this transformative journey towards success together. And now let's dive back into today's episode.
You try to force into a traditional business that I've had to learn to do. And, thank goodness, as you mentioned, and that I was in the Army once upon a time. And so there was discipline there. So I've carried some of that over. The most important thing that happened for me was about 6 years ago. We were busy, we're doing fine, making a lot of films, but I switched my content for what I call entertainment. So I was watching movies, watching Netflix, doing the same as everybody else was doing. And I kind of switched my idle time into, I want to learn what it means to run a business and be in business. And so I started reading the books and listening to the podcasts. And now it's more than 6 years at this point. It's literally all I do. I read books, I listen to podcasts, I watch YouTube on business development, I go to seminars, and then I've got a great wife. She's kind of the yin and yang thing. I'm the artsy fartsy guy, and she's the kind of engineer brained person. And she works with me, and she's helped me tremendously to put form to my chaos. And now we're running a really healthy business with all the book, everything is buttoned down, and we have systems for my God, people, if you're running your own business and you're trying to do it on an Excel sheet, there's software out there. There are solutions out there that are one AI search away and you'll have it in your lap. Stop trying to do things yourself and lean on the tools that are out there. Find people. I've got 9 people that work on my team. Every one of them is better at me at what they do. That's so secret. I mean, it's so imperative that you find people that you don't think you're the best at everything.
Right.
That go find somebody better. Then I have this little group of kind of mentors from books I've read from Elon Musk. And
what is one book that changed the way you thought about entrepreneurship that you would love to share with us?
Well, since I just mentioned my wife, the first one that just popped out to my head, is called Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman. And it basically, summarize it for you. Still go read the book, but lots of successful businesses have these tandem pairs that run them. There's the visionary and the integrator. That's my wife. The visionary is terrible at a lot of stuff, and the integrator is terrible at a lot of stuff. But when you put those two together, they make really, really wonderful companies. You can think about Walt Disney with his brother Roy. Walt was the visionary. Roy was the banker, the books guy. He did all that. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. There's tons of different people like that. So that's the first one that jumped to my mind that helped transform my business personally. But the biographies are the absolute best. The autobiography of P.T. Barnum, remember him, the circus guy? It's a book from the 1860s. It reads like he wrote it right now. It's so good. And it teaches you everything you need to know about marketing and self. It's being okay to promote yourself. Comes from a book that's 150 plus years old. I think everybody has read the Steve Jobs and the Elon Musk books, but those are fantastic. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner. He helped me on that business side. And then, of course, my hero is Walt Disney. I think I've read everything written about Walt.
He would be very proud of you.
I hope so, man. He's the best.
That's so amazing. So now, you also mentioned something about like AI. If we can just open that can up a little bit as well. How do you feel like AI has played a role in the industry overall, and maybe specifically also talk about how it perhaps enhance how you provide your services to your clients?
Sure. On the pre-production side, we can handle, because of AI, we can handle more information from more people. So we'll get forms filled out about, if we're filming dad, about dad, from dad, but he may have 30 people that are like, oh, you should talk about this. So we have forms that we send them to, and we get all this data in. Well, having, AI is great at some stuff and sucks at some stuff, but for data compilation, it's really good. And at the end of the day, these forms are just data. And so we can put it all in there and have it help make me a guide so that when I'm doing the interview, I make sure that I'm covering everything that the family wants. Then on the technical side, on the post-production side, after we film, there's tools out there, industry-specific tools that help us from voice cloning. So that if grandma says, I asked grandma a question about her dad, and she says, oh, he was a minor league baseball player, but she didn't say my dad was a minor league baseball player. Well, we can actually mimic her voice and change it to where she says, my dad, Bill, was a minor league baseball player and we just put a picture on top of it. So, but that's some specific use. I try to stay up on everything that's coming out. I don't ever want, what we do is very personal. It's very intimate. And so AI is going to be a good tool for us. It's not a tool for like, I want it to be dad. I want it to be mostly dad talking. And when they give us a battered up old picture that shows dad's grandpa, some of the AI tools will help us Photoshop it faster and better. That's good use of it. But as far as like the things they're doing where they're cloning people, where you have, that's not what I want. I want it to be what we filmed of dad from his mouth, what he said, so that his kids and future generations know that their pawpaw was awesome.
I love that so much. It's like what AI can ever replace is the human sentiment that we're able to cultivate and also provide people a chance to experience. So I love that you just, still find so much value in your current processes, even with the change of technology. So I'm going to also ask as well. Of course, there are many up and coming aspiring filmmakers. What type of advice would you give them? What are some common mistakes that you see beginners making? And do you feel like technology is actually playing a role in some of these common mistakes that you see happening right now for aspiring filmmakers?
Well, I'll answer your question in reverse order. Number one, yes, starting at the end, it's over reliance on technology when at the end of the day, you want to have things in frame and in focus. Keep it simple. And then rewinding it a little bit further, I think too many people in the arts, in the visual arts, in filmmaking, and whether you're doing documentary films for families, documentary films for broad distribution, or narrative works for streaming services or films, they don't let the story win. I want my art on the story. I want my impression on the story rather than taking a good story and in telling that story that's there. Like they want their thumbprint on it. I'm telling you this because I did it for 25 years. I wanted my thumbprint on my work because, damn it, I'm the artist, I'm the creator, I'm the one that's making you laugh, I'm the one that's making you cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wrong. I was wrong for a long time. The story should win, and I should make myself invisible. I have a job to tell the story as perfectly as I can. And I think a lot of younger artists in this space, even older ones, they get all caught up on wanting the movie title where it says by John Doe. They're too focused on John Doe and not enough focused on
The title.
the title.
Okay, I love that you brought us here because another question that I would like to ask as well is just diving more into the mental growth that you experience in entrepreneurship, and this is perhaps one of those areas. Can you talk more about just how you've noticed yourself evolve in regards to how you started when you first started Heritage Films and to who you are now? Like, what was the process of? Because a lot of times we have aspirations, but the key to everything is becoming that person that is going to allow us to, create the reality that we want. So can you talk more about just do your self growth and what other processes that you had to go through internally to create this beautiful company that you have now?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that not just when I started the company, but most of my career, going back from the Broadway days to the sports radio days to the filmmaking days earlier, I, I think I always thought, I think it was ego driven and I wanted it to be about me. I did. I wanted credit for things, and it was important that I don't know what the hell fire I was putting out, but it was too much about me and not enough about the client. Because if you're doing a narrative work, the client is the audience. If you're doing nuanced things like what I do with my audience is the family and future generations. And I think as a business person, I wanted credit rather than excellence. I surrendered to that a long time ago, not long enough ago, but like around the time of COVID, a little before that is when I started getting feedback from the films that we made and realizing that people are sending me these long emails of how the story helped the family. And I wanted them to, this is embarrassing. I wanted them to say, this is amazing. Your movie is amazing. Your movie that you made of my dad is amazing, which is one thing. And instead, the feedback I was getting was my dad's story, my dad opening up about the Korean War. I didn't know that my dad had a younger brother that died. Wasn't the movie that was awesome. It was And realizing that through all of my faults and all of my flaws and my team's faults and flaws, at the end of the day, we were changing people's lives for the better. And enough feedback came in that I realized, man, maybe if I just focus on that, like screw everything else. And that's what I started doing. And knock on wood, that is my I literally want to make the best. I want to make these so amazing, but not
Mm-hmm.
for me, for the families.
I love that. I'm going to add the quote that you said is like, let your excellence overpower your ego. I
Yeah,
love
that
that
is.
so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it came from, but
You
it's
said
true.
that. Love that. Okay. So we talked about partnerships, specifically with your wife. So shout out to her. Of course, working together with individuals allows us to just go further in our endeavors. Can you talk about the role of collaboration in your business from other lenses? Perhaps it's with your team, or perhaps it's like partnering companies, but just talk about the role of collaboration in your
Yeah.
success.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just going to do it internally. We've certainly done some collaborations with other people. Well, number one, about 2/3 of our films, we have a client who is the person that hires us, and then a subject, which is generally their parents or grandparents or uncle. And then about a third, the client and the subject are the same person. So the client hires us and says, I want to tell my story about my company. Well, you're a client and the principal subject now. So my client is always a collaborator. And that has even been when my ego is in the way. You got to make the client happy. So I've always been heavily collaborative with the person that is giving me money and trusting me to help tell their story. But then internally, my crew, I've got Price. I've got people that are college educated in filmmaking, and they're great at their craft and forever. And I don't have those. I don't have the college to do this. I have the company, but not the degree. They all have the correct credentials. And I think again, my ego is in the way, and I thought I knew better because I'm me. Well, I started leaning more on them and realizing that they literally know more than I do about the craft side of it. So maybe lean on them and collaborate with them. And so now all of our films, they went from being a Chance McClain production to a Heritage Films production. And all it is collaboration. Multiple people working at every stage of the edit, multiple people on the production themselves, and all these different people holding hands and handing off responsibilities and accountability. So all I get to do, I go do the interview, and then a couple months later when the edit's done, I get to watch what we made and give some final notes. The quality has gone through the roof, and that's through internal collaboration.
That is so beautiful. I just love how you mentioned that. I think a lot of times the entrepreneurship, for sure, it's a journey of us. If you have different ways of communicating it, it can be just delegating and not micromanaging, but really letting go,
Totally.
and allowing for different minds, different perspectives to really put, their touch to make something magical. And I'm sure like Walt Disney, again, he's someone who, I mean, to build a organization like that, you have to like let go and just trust the creative process, but still like giving a nice just vision. I think our job as CEO is to provide the vision. How that vision gets fulfilled, we should be able to, just let the work create itself sometimes, and depending on our team and the people who work inside of us. So I love that you mentioned that so much. Shout out to your team.
Yeah, vision and guardrails. I think my wife has been great at putting up timelines, deadlines, and guardrails.
Hmm.
And then the creative team works within those because we're all more creative with some parameters. And
Hmm.
she's done great at putting those up. So yeah.
Amazing. All right. So my second to last question for you is, have you done a project that taught you a lesson that you didn't know you needed at that time?
Oh, yesterday. How about that? So yeah, this is gonna be sad. So I hope your last question is a pick me up. So yeah, do you remember back in July the floods in Texas that took away the lives of all those little camper girls?
Yes.
Uh, we did a film for a family that lost one of those 8-year-old girls who has a 6.5-year-old little sister, and they're afraid that that you can see my thing, Bright Like Lucy, see that? Bright Like Lucy. They're afraid that Charlie, the little sister, is gonna forget her older sister because she's only 6, and so we interviewed mom and dad and grandma and uncle, and about a dozen of Lucy's little 8-year-old friends came over, and we filmed about this really, really young person who is gone way, way too freaking soon.
Hmm.
But it gave me perspective because I spend most of my time with people that are like in their, call it 50s to 100. And here's one that we're focusing on somebody that's on just the cusp of life, on the front end of it. And it gave me a
Wow.
perspective that, um, there's no other way to do it other than to sit in the room for hours with somebody that's gone through hell and see the love that they're pouring out for their other daughter. Whole new perspective for me. And that experience, as hard as it was, it's gonna help me be better when I am filming a 75-year-old. None of us are promised tomorrow, and some of us aren't even promised a ninth freaking year. It lets me celebrate more the people that are older. Yeah, so that was yesterday.
Thank
That's
you. That was so very, very heartfelt. Again, it even put things into perspective for me because we live thinking like, okay, well, I'm a human being. I'm gonna at least live until the average age expectancy. But literally, tomorrow is not promised, and this is why we have to just enjoy the days, love on everyone around us, and
totally.
take those risks. Invest in ourselves. And
Mhm.
I love that you're doing that through your personal journey, but then also the stories that you are telling. So then my
Yes.
last question actually is going to be, what is one takeaway that you want listeners to remember about the importance of storytelling and legacy?
Well, I would want them to know that what we do is, we've got, going back to my books, Malcolm Gladwell Outliers, we have our 10,000 hours. We're very, very good and we're excellent. We're excellent. We're the best. But you don't have to have the best. You can do what you got one of these, right? You can do this. You can literally sit down with your mom, your dad, your grandfather, your uncle, and get them to share their stories. And just starting with, just use my chronology thing. Like, start, dad or grandpa, what's your earliest memory? Or what do you know about your dad, your folks? It doesn't have to be, mine is going to be professional and polished and look like it goes on HBO documentaries. But at the end of the day, you just want the damn stories and you need them. You owe them to your future kids or your kids. They're going to get to be at a point in their life one day where they wonder where the hell they came from. They wonder who they are. We all do. All of us do. Well, you can have that gift to give your kids or your grandkids of, well, this is as far back as I can go. This is your great great grandpa, but I sat down with him with what we used to call a cell phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that would be something that I would want your audience to know, that I've made a business out of this, but at the end of the day, you want those stories. You do, and you should go do them.
I know you got me thinking because just to say, my grandmother just passed a few months ago, like end of last year. And it's like now that I've done this amazing interview, I'm like, wow, it would have been so nice to like have her share a
You got
lot of
another
her
grandmother?
story. Well, I have my grandpa; he's still living, so I'm gonna just try to get as much as
Do
I
it.
can from him. But like now, I
Yes.
need to know these things because yes, as you said before, the next generations are gonna come, and having a understanding of like your origination, it does give you a sense of pride that is incomparable to like, just hearing the thing, to be able to
Hmm.
watch the person tell it from their own mouth and in their own way. I think is
Yes.
just something so powerful in that. So thank you for
And
sharing.
especially if it's a couple, if it's grandma and grandpa, if you've
Mhm.
done this last year,
Mhm.
then it's not just their stories, but it's like when grandpa is telling a story and grandma like rolls her eyes. That's part of her. That's like, oh
Yes.
my God. Or it's a sweet moment and he's talking about when he started dating her and she puts her hand on his knee.
Mhm.
It's so sweet. It's
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
Film it. Do it.
Yes. I love that. Okay. And now, is there anything that Heritage Films would like to just share with the audience that is coming up? What can the audience expect for the future of Heritage Films?
You can expect growth. We are growing and we operate all over the country. So we're traveling a lot. You can expect black bags under my eyes. I'm going to Beaumont, Texas tonight, which is pretty close, but we go all over the country. We launched another company called Farm and Ranch Films, which is farmandranchfilms.com, which is basically heritage films, but where the land is kind of like a multi-generational farm where the land is a character in the movie too. So we fly the drone and go film outside and stuff, but it's basically the same, just a different way to market it. But yeah, we're just coming to a small town or a giant city near you.
We love it. We love it. And thank you so much, Chance, for such a great conversation. That brings us to the end of another enlightening episode of the Circles podcast. I am Sheneya Wilson, aka the People CPA, your host this show. And again, another thank you to Chance McClain for sharing his incredible journey and insights into the art of storytelling and legacy preservation. His passion for capturing families' histories and the impact it can have on future generations is truly inspiring. You guys heard what he said. If you have a smartphone now, please feel free to go out and start to preserve those memories. They are a legacy now and a legacy in the making. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the stories within your own family and consider how you might preserve those legacies for the future. Remember, every family has a unique narrative and is worth celebrating and sharing. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us continue to bring you these powerful conversations with inspiring guests like Chance McClain. Be sure to connect with us on social media and share your thoughts on the episode. We love to hear how storytelling has impacted your life and what legacies you're passionate about preserving. So until next time, keep embracing your journey, celebrating your stories, and aiming for that next summit. I'm your host, Sheneya Wilson, again, reminding you that you belong in the winner's circle.